We got a juicy rumor to dive into on today's show as a New England Patriots scout may have just leaked the Minnesota Vikings draft plan. We'll get to that here in a second. But first, I want to get the pulse of the fan base on today's show. If you trust Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, I want you to like today's video. But if you don't, if you're a little skeptical of how he's going to play this NFL draft, comment why down below. But if you trust him, show him some support and like today's show. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and I need everybody, before we dive into today's show, to put on your detective hats because a Patriots scout may have actually just leaked what the Vikings are trying to do in this year's upcoming NFL draft. Again, guys, get on those detective hats. We're going fishing here on today's show because rumors are flying all over the place, and maybe we have a leaked report. But I first want to get to this exchange on Twitter. This was after KJ Osborne did sign with the New England Patriots. Albert Breer tweeted that out. And then Nick Corte quote tweeted that and said, and that will be enough to qualify KJ Osborne as a compensatory free agent. His departure to Foxborough adds another third-round 2025 comp pick on the board to the Vikings for Danielle Hunter going to Houston. Then a response to that tweet said, hot take, Vikings and Pats may have an agreement. The Pats trigger the formula so the Vikings can attach their regular third-round pick to the package to trade up from 11 through 3. And listen, when I saw this at first, I thought this was just a coincidence. I don't really think there's any, connection to KJ going to the Patriots and the Vikings getting that comp pick and then the Vikings sending their third-round pick to New England. But then again, maybe not. Maybe Vikings GM Kwesi Adofo-Mensah called up the Patriots and said, hey, if KJ's signing over there, it would just be more ammunition in your pocket. If you are willing to trade down, we'll give you that extra third-round pick. But this is the conspiracy theory I wanted to dive into on today's show. This is coming in from Thor Nystrom. He's got around 50K on Twitter. He's an NFL draft analyst, and he tweeted this out last night. He said, return to your corkboards, friends. We got a new conspiracy theory. He says Patriots college scouting director Camren Williams has liked one singular tweet in 2024. The only tweet he has liked, a tweet speculating that the Vikings are sending a Godfather offer for 2 or 3. This is the exact tweet Camren Williams did like. If you guys see it, says it's coming in from Corey. As Corey tweeted out, he says, I'm telling you guys, Drake Maye is a Viking. They're sending a Godfather offer for 2 or 3. Josh McCown, Vikings quarterback coach, coached Drake Maye in high school. He fits Kevin O'Connell's system perfectly. And listen, when I was kind of reading this, and obviously I do think there's a ton of juice behind this because Camren Williams, this was the only tweet he did like. As you guys see right here, this is him. He is the college scouting director for the New England Patriots. And also, there's even more juice to this. Camren Williams, after that tweet went out by Thor, he unliked the tweet. It was almost like when you get caught by doing something wrong by your parents and then you try to walk it back immediately after. I felt like that's what he was doing. But it was definitely fishy because, I think we can all scroll on Twitter, scrolling on social media, and you can randomly like a post or a tweet, if you are, active in that sense. But Camren Williams, he's not that active on Twitter. And that was the only tweet he liked in the entire year. It is March 19th right now. And that was the only tweet he liked. And I got to kick it to the Brian Windhorst fingers here. What is going on here? Are there some connections? Is there more juice between the Vikings and Drake Maye? Now I want to kick it back to the tweet that he did like because I think it's incredibly interesting. Camren Williams, he does have 9K followers on Twitter. He is within the Patriots organization, and maybe he was hearing rumblings within the organization about the Vikings sending a massive haul for the number 3 overall pick or the number 2 pick in this year's draft. And then he saw Corey tweet this out, and he liked it. And I think the biggest point of this is that this is the only tweet he liked, and I don't think this was an accidental like. And I thought it was even more of kind of a red flag that he unliked it once Thor tweeted that out. I thought it was incredibly interesting, and there's definitely, I always say when there's smoke, there's fire, and, there's a whole lot of smoke going on right now with the New England Patriots and trading down. And my overall take with this whole thing, I think the Vikings are going to send an offer to New England or Washington that will at least make them consider trading out of the pick. I fully believe both those teams right now are planning on drafting a quarterback. But let's just say Minnesota hits up either of those organizations and sends them a Godfather offer or a massive deal. They will at least have to consider it, because if they like Drake Maye, like Jaden Daniels, but they don't love either of them, and the Vikings send them each multiple first-round picks, I could really see them kind of going the route of, we're going to build a more complete roster with this extra draft capital and seriously consider trading out. So this is the trade idea I cooked up. This is a overwhelming haul for New England. This is like giving them an offer they can't refuse. It would be the Vikings landing the number 3 pick in this year's draft, and then they would obviously be sending 11 and then the 23 or number 23 pick, which they did get from the Houston Texans, and 177, and then also next year's first round pick. And there is no team in the NFL that can match the Vikings offer, because I believe current first round picks for this year in a loaded draft class, in my opinion, are more valuable than future first round picks. The Vikings are the only team in the league right now that are looking to trade up for a quarterback that have multiple first-round picks this season. Then we also got this from Daniel Jeremiah, even more kind of smoke to this rumor of the Vikings trading up. It feels like to me you have a for sure landing spot. And I agree, when the Vikings made that Texans trade, I said it. They do not make this trade unless they have a follow-up move ready to go. He said, maybe let's assume that's number 4 with the Cardinals. So that's the floor. And you say, okay, we're going to make an effort and try like crazy and see if we can get Washington or New England to bite. But if we don't get them to bite, we have a deal at 4. And I think no matter what, the Vikings have a handshake agreement done with a team. I think there is no possible scenario that the Vikings are sitting at 11 or sitting at 23, because dating back to last season, or dating back to 2 off seasons ago, when Kevin O'Connell and Vikings GM Kwesi Adofo-Mensah were hired, they talked about countless times is getting their franchise quarterback, and we've heard Kwesi talk about it a lot. He says that he would love to get a QB, obviously on that rookie deal. He says that's the best formula to win in the NFL. Get a QB on a rookie deal, build a complete roster around him. It makes a whole lot of sense, since he was coming from the Niners organization, that he would want to take that path. But this is the trade I cooked up. It is an overwhelming haul here, I understand, but let me know if you would do it. If the Patriots, maybe they send you this your way. If you're a Patriots fan watching this video, would you accept this trade? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. Give me an A for accept, or give me a D for decline. I would do it, guys. Listen, that is an overwhelming haul. I get it, and I hear that. However, I just think with where the Vikings are right now, you have the ability to go all in on a quarterback. The Vikings are projected to have almost $150 million in cap space next season. Go get your guy and do whatever it takes. Coming up here in just a second, I have a Vikings-Commanders trade idea. Again, it's going to be an overwhelming haul to get up to number 2. And also a very interesting quote from Colin Cowherd on the Vikings here just in a second. But first, I want to give a huge shout-out to today's sponsor, and that is Prize Picks. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks, and they've got specials for new and returning users alike for March Madness when you head over to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Football season may be over, but the action on the hardwood is heating up. Whether it's March Madness or the fight for NBA playoff seeding, there's no shortage of high-stakes basketball moments this time of year. Get in on the excitement with Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app, where you can turn your hoops knowledge into serious cash. And this is the lineup I'm cooking up for the play-in games tonight. And also, they got a sweet deal going on with Caitlin Clark. I'm taking the more on her half points. And then also Cody Williams, younger brother of Jalen Williams, who's on the Oklahoma City Thunder, plays for Colorado. I'm taking his more of 9.5 points. And then Isaiah Stevens of Colorado State, I'm taking his more of 14.5 points. But March Madness kicks off tonight with the first 4 games, and you can pick more or less right now. Prize Picks is also giving us a free pick for Caitlin Clark's matchup Saturday. Just select more on her half points for Clark and pair it with another winner for 3 times your money. Prize Picks is simple. You pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Get started now if you haven't already at prizepicks.com/CLNS and get a first-time deposit match of $100. Prizepicks.com/CLNS. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. So trade idea number 2 with the Washington Commanders, it's going to take more, but very similar pick. I have the Vikings giving up 3 picks this year, the 2 first-rounders, and pick 177. And then on top of that, you're giving up next year's first-rounder, and you're also going to have to give up next year's third-rounder. So 3 first-round picks, pick 177, and an additional third. Again, guys, this is a lot to give up. I'm not sure if I would fully do this deal just yet, but you're going to have to make an offer to Washington that they can't refuse if they're going to want to trade down. And we got this a couple days ago from Bob Donnan of USA Today, who said the Vikings are interested in trading up for the number 2 overall pick, and that makes a whole lot of sense because we've heard reports coming out that the Vikings will do whatever it takes to land Drake Maye in this year's draft class. I think Drake Maye is the perfect quarterback for this system and just a perfect quarterback to kind of steer the ship of the direction that the Vikings are really heading in right now. They're going to send a Godfather offer, like they were saying at the top of today's show, to go land the North Carolina quarterback, and for right reason. This dude's an absolute stud. You know, I think his positives are he's got the big-time arm, great mobility, can touch every blade of grass on the football field. Couple of his negatives, couple of his downsides. He doesn't really have the best feet in his pocket. I think he's got a kind of a big windup on his throw, which could get him in trouble. But overall, I do think Drake Maye will work out in the NFL, and I think a key spot for, or a key kind of aspect of his kind of progression in the NFL is his landing spot. And I actually thought Colin Cowherd had a great quote just overall on this year's quarterback class and specifically the Minnesota Vikings. He says this: outside of Caleb Williams, who I think has the unique talent to thrive wherever he's drafted, the second most successful quarterback in this draft will be whoever Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings land. That's my official QB bet of the draft. And all I got to say is this was where Colin was right. I totally agree with what he had to say. I think Caleb Williams, he is the only generational talent in this year's draft class. That word gets thrown around a little too much, but I totally agree with what he was saying. I got Caleb Williams at number 1, and then whoever the hell the Vikings are going to draft at number 2, because as we know, guys, in the NFL, with these quarterbacks coming out, landing spot matters, and I think the Vikings could offer the best landing spot for any rookie quarterback because you see the support system right here. And I'm not even showing Brian O'Neill or Christian Darrisaw on screen right now, the 2 bookend tackles that Minnesota has. But you got the best wide receiver in the National Football League in Justin Jefferson. You got Jordan Addison, just went over 900 yards, 10 touchdowns in his rookie year. He is one of the best he creates probably some of the most best separation, I should say, as a receiver in the NFL. TJ Hawkinson obviously went down with season-ending knee surgery, but should be back by November. Then you finally have a running back in Aaron Jones, and then Kevin O'Connell as well. And this is just where Colin was right, guys. Like, I really do believe this, that the Minnesota Vikings, you know, if whatever quarterback they land, I believe in kind of the process that the Vikings are going to go through. And Kevin O'Connell's ability, I think, to be able to sandpaper a quarterback and kind of, you know, show off his positives, but also mask a couple of his weaknesses. I mean, we saw it when the Vikings had, you know, Nick Mullins, Jaron Hall, Josh Dobbs step in. Like, the offense did obviously struggle, you know, for parts of that, but you also didn't have Justin Jefferson in most of those games as well. But they were still able to be productive. So I agree with Colin on this. Number 1 quarterback for me is Caleb Williams. Number 2 is whoever Minnesota drafts. But you guys got to let me know, where will the Vikings draft in the first round? Think it's to be number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, or maybe you think they stick at 11 and 23. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. Hey, and also, guys, whenever we get more reports, any juicy rumors like this, any leaked reports from Twitter, I'll be your go-to guy and make a video for you guys ASAP. So hit that subscribe button if you guys haven't already. Thank you guys so much for watching. The support on the channel has been unreal as of late, so I really do appreciate it. But a little leaked Twitter rumors on today's show, so hopefully you guys did enjoy it. As always, Skol Vikes.